Is that $5,000 deposit about to hit your bank account? The news many Americans have been desperately waiting for has finally arrived. After months of congressional deadlock, partisan battles, and economic uncertainty, the new stimulus package has cleared its final hurdle. But before you start planning how to spend that money, you need to understand exactly what this means for you, your family, and your financial future. The details might surprise you, especially regarding who qualifies and when the money will actually arrive. Welcome back to the channel where we break down the latest economic news that directly impacts your wallet. Today's bombshell announcement about the $5,000 stimulus payments has created a wave of questions across social media. Is this real? When will I get my check? Do I qualify? I've spent the last 24 hours analyzing the fine print of this legislation to bring you the answers you need right now. Let's start with what just happened. After weeks of intense negotiations that seemed destined to fail, Congress finally reached the compromise that financial experts thought impossible. The economic relief package, totaling $1.9 trillion, includes the largest direct payments to Americans since the pandemic. The $5,000 stimulus checks represent the centerpiece of this massive legislation, designed to jumpstart consumer spending and provide immediate relief to millions of households still struggling with inflation and economic instability. The final vote wasn't even close passing with substantial bipartisan support after key concessions were made to address concerns from both sides of the aisle. What changed? According to inside sources, the economic data presented last week showing alarming trends in household debt and savings rates created the urgency needed to break the stalemate. When faced with projections of potential mortgage defaults and credit card delinquencies reaching critical levels by summer, lawmakers finally found common ground. But here's what you really need to know. The eligibility requirements for these payments are significantly different from previous stimulus rounds. The income thresholds have been adjusted to ensure the money reaches those who need it most. For individuals, the full $5,000 payment will go to those earning less than $75,000 annually. For married couples filing jointly, that threshold sits at $150,000. But unlike previous stimulus programs, the phase-out is much more gradual, with partial payments available for individuals making up to $100,000 and couples earning up to $200,000. What about dependents? This is where the new package truly stands out. Each qualifying dependent, regardless of age, will add an additional $1,500 to your household stimulus total. This means a family of four with two adults and two children could potentially receive $8,000 in direct payments. This represents a major shift from previous stimulus programs that offered smaller amounts for dependents or excluded adult dependents entirely. The question everyone's asking, when will the money arrive? According to Treasury Department officials, the first wave of direct deposits could begin as early as next week for Americans who have current banking information on file with the IRS. Paper checks will follow, with the first batch scheduled to be mailed within 14 days. The entire distribution is expected to take approximately 8 to 10 weeks to complete, with priority given to lower-income households. But there's an important detail that hasn't received enough attention. The payment schedule is being organized by adjusted gross income, with those reporting the lowest incomes receiving their payments first. This targeted approach aims to get money to the most financially vulnerable Americans as quickly as possible. If your income falls in the higher range of eligibility, you may be waiting until the latter phases of distribution. What's driving this unprecedented level of direct payments? The economic data paints a concerning picture. Despite positive job numbers in recent months, household financial health indicators show alarming trends. Consumer debt has reached record levels, with the average American household now carrying over $17,000 in credit card debt alone. Meanwhile, savings rates have fallen to the lowest point in decades, with nearly 40% of Americans reporting they couldn't cover a $400 emergency expense without borrowing. The immediate impact of these stimulus payments on the economy is expected to be substantial. Economic analysts project that the influx of cash could boost GDP by as much as 3% in the next quarter alone. Consumer spending, which accounts for roughly 70% of economic activity, is anticipated to surge, particularly in sectors that have struggled to recover fully, like travel, restaurants, and retail. But what about inflation? Won't pumping billions into the economy make prices rise even faster? This concern was central to the congressional debate, and the legislation includes specific provisions designed to mitigate inflationary pressure. The Federal Reserve has already signaled its commitment to monetary policies that would counterbalance any inflation spike, and the staggered distribution schedule of payments is partially designed to prevent a sudden flood of spending that could drive prices up sharply. Now, let's talk about some of the less discussed aspects of this stimulus package that could directly affect your financial situation. Beyond the direct payments, the legislation includes substantial extensions to unemployment benefits, rental assistance programs, and child tax credits. If you're currently receiving unemployment benefits, you'll see an extension of the enhanced federal supplement for an additional 25 weeks, providing crucial support for those still struggling to find stable employment. For homeowners, the package includes $25 billion in mortgage assistance funds designed to prevent foreclosures and keep families in their homes. Renters haven't been forgotten either, with $30 billion allocated for rental assistance and eviction prevention programs. These supporting measures are designed to work alongside the direct payments to create a comprehensive safety net for households facing financial hardship. The small business community will also see significant support through an additional $50 billion in Paycheck Protection Program funding, with simplified application processes and targeted assistance for the hardest hit industries like restaurants, entertainment venues, and tourism related businesses. This means your local businesses may be better positioned to maintain operations and retain employees. But here's what you need to be aware of regarding potential complications with your stimulus payment. If your income changed significantly between your last tax filing and now, you might want to file your 2024 taxes as soon as possible. The IRS will use your most recent tax return to determine eligibility. So if your income decreased in 2024, filing quickly could mean the difference between receiving the full amount or a reduced payment, or potentially no payment at all. There's also the matter of dependents. The IRS will use your tax return information to determine dependent eligibility. If you've added dependents since your last filing, through birth, adoption, or other circumstances, filing an updated return could increase your payments substantially. Remember, each eligible dependent adds $1,500 to your household total. Banking information presents another potential hurdle. If you've changed banks or accounts since your last tax filing or previous stimulus payment, you'll want to update this information through the IRS portal immediately. Direct deposits to closed accounts will be returned to the Treasury, significantly delaying your payment as they'll need to issue a paper check instead. What about tax implications? This is good news. The stimulus payments are not considered taxable income. You won't owe taxes on this money, and it won't affect your tax bracket or eligibility for other income-based programs or benefits. However, it's always wise to consult with a tax professional about your specific situation.